This is an application geared toward shifting the direction of design engineering praxis from dealing in assumptions and absolutes to getting comfortable with pluralities and unknowables. At the moment, progress celebrates a certain kind of worldview, one that is computational, mechanically comprehensible, reduces a non-binary world into binary code. This is the principle on which artificial intelligence is built. What cannot fit into that binary cannot be understood by a computer, and so it is lost. What is lost in this kind of linear processing is our ability to deal with a multidimensional reality, a complex world filled with innumerable intelligences, all equally evolved. Having exceeded 7 out of 9 planetary thresholds, highly intelligent ways of being and understanding our shared planet are at risk of disappearing, eventually taking us with them. Non-human intelligence has never been so valuable, yet so underrated. While information technologies today rely heavily on the human perspective for clarity on human-generated problems, praxisMap suggests an alternative method, one which seeks, at all instances, to incorporate a more than human perspective, to develop a more than human method. Of course, being human and trying to consider the perspectives of non-humans does not come naturally. So, it is a matter of how we develop frameworks which integrate otherness into the core values of our philosophies and methods. Implemented at all levels of conception, ideation, iteration, and deployment. In this way, practice might be enriched by actively engaging with the context, not only in terms of how this revises dominant narratives to include marginalized human communities, but how this might shift human-non-human relations on the scale of international governing bodies and regulations safeguarding the rights to self-determination. Fundamentally, this describes a shift from either-ors to all at once. No more models and narratives based on singular dominant perspectives, but pluralities informed by as many authors as there are actors, as many logics as there are relationships, and as many scenarios as there are potential outcomes. First, actors to authors. The actor network theory is a social theory developed by Bruno Latour, the first to recognize non-human actors on the same plane as human actors. Each actor is considered to have as many dimensions as connections. Those dimensions describe the dynamic relationships between actors as they are derived from premises based on political, economic, socio-cultural, technological, legal, and ecological reasoning. These are referred to as logics. Relationships are defined by the logics which drive the connection between the actors. VUCA, a framework initially developed for military strategy, describes volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. States familiar to those who understand working in contexts without precedent or predictive analysis. Currently, our world has entered a geological phase unprecedented in our species' history. A framework such as VUCA integrates an expectation of unknowns and unknowables into the core of how and what we build. It is not simply a matter of closing a loop, but rather feeling through crosshairs and following the reasonings carved out by entangled lives. It means finding methods of creating for entanglement, rather than failing to see the beauty of a world without boundaries. But still, where there are boundaries, culturally conceived boundaries, how to work for, not against, the inevitable tensions and paradoxes which arise out of narratives, whether they are based on dominant or marginalized knowledge systems. Our future is not one of monolithic world powers. It is one of decentralized networks and mutable entities, which straddle physical and non-physical existences. And yet, material origins can never be refuted. Multipolar logic is key to bringing all these frameworks together for synthesized decision-making, where a careful deconstruction of a context can be reconstructed without being reduced, where complexity is accommodated, and human and non-human communities might find a convergent path, with many twists and turns, but nonetheless in constant relation to one another.